Hi, everybody, and welcome to First Friday Lunch. This will probably be a shorter one just because I didn't really schedule it. I've been sick earlier in the week. I still kind of have a tickle in my throat, so I'll be drinking my coffee. I should probably be drinking tea, but I had coffee made, so I was like, okay, I'll drink that. But anyway, welcome to First Friday Lunch. I got to do it up here because I've got my microphone plugged in. This was like, all right. Welcome to First Friday Lunch. Today, we're going to talk about writing through the holidays. But first, we're going to talk about Nano. I don't know how many of you participated in Nano. I plan to finish up my current projects, and much like every other Nano, even when I write a book, I didn't do that. I think that life got away from me in the sense that I spent more time with my family. I probably didn't write as much. I got the holidays snuck on me. I thought I had more time to write 5,000 words on this short story, and I'm only about halfway there. I got to write another 2,500 words before it's going to wrap up. So I think that one of the things is just to be, if you're like me and you did not complete Nano, take it easy on yourself. You know, I've never won Nano yet. I start projects, I get pretty far into it. I think in previous years, I've gotten 30 to 40,000 words in, but don't beat yourself up over it if you didn't make Nano this year. So that would be my first thing. You know, I think there's a way to, hold on. I'm just checking like a setting on here. Okay. There's a setting on most of my things which will mirror because I'm backwards, because like over here is the door, but it's on this side on the computer. It's opposite or whatever. So it bugs me when I look at it. And I was like, I thought there was a setting on here, but I can't find it. I'm not going to bother looking for it. Anyway, so if you're like me and you don't complete Nano, and don't feel down about it, you started a project or you tried to set a goal and you didn't reach it. If you followed any of the Nano vlogs, I highly recommend Sarah Cannon. If you didn't finish it, watch her last video. And then if you want to, go back and watch all the ones that she did throughout Nano, and I will link to her website below. But you're setting a goal, and she has this great speech at the end about if you didn't reach it. She reached hers, yay, you know, so that's exciting. But if you watch her videos from the beginning, you kind of wonder if she's going to. So it does have a happily ever after, I guess. But I think that if you start a Nano project, that's something like even just to start it and to get words on paper and stuff like that. So if you didn't and you want to try and finish it the month of December, that's a lofty goal. But also most of the world, most religions celebrate some big holiday, whether it's Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Yule, Christmas, the New Year. A lot of people celebrate the New Year. I would take time to celebrate whatever holidays fall into this month for you, because it's time you can spend with your family or the family of your making, whichever, and really enjoy that time, this time of season. So there is something about the winter months, especially December, that begs us to slow down. And I like to take this month to just take it easy on myself. Obviously, I'm going to have to press out 2,500 words for a short story, but I think I can get that done pretty quickly. I just need a really good day to do it, and it'll be done. So I think, but for the rest of the month, I usually only plan to write 200 words a day, which isn't a lot, but it's about 30 minutes. And even if all I get done are my morning pages, that's good enough. So I usually try and set a goal of like 1,000 words a week, just to kind of keep things moving, especially if I have projects I'm working on, because I have a couple of stories that need to be finished. And if I just look at them at least once a day and write for 30 minutes, if all I get is 30 words, that's fine. If I get the 200 words, great. But at least I'm touching that project so that when I do finally go back to it, it's not unfamiliar to me. And I'm sure some of you can relate to that, where you'll have to go through and like read the story to see like, where was I going with this? Where did I start? And if you write linear, I do not. I used to, but I don't anymore. I do have to edit linear. I can't edit out of order. I have to start at the beginning and go to the end just to make sure the story flows well for the reader. But when I'm actually writing, I will block out scenes according to how I feel that day to write. And that has allowed me to accomplish getting books done. As a matter of fact, sometimes the thing that helps me get a book done is writing the end first. Like I'll throw up like 30 pages and then I'll go and write the end. Like, how do I want this story to end? And I'll end it. And then I just had to get there. But at least I know, okay, the book is technically done because I wrote the ending. So it's a weird thing, but I think that that's a good way to do it if that works for you. If you have to write linear, write linear. Don't change because what works for me may not work for you. So, but writing through the holidays, some of the things that I've got going on is I tend to take this time of year ever since I got laid off from my job as kind of a break period. The first year that I was laid off from that Fortune 500 company was like, I think November 31st was my last day, excuse me. And so it's a dry cough too. It's so annoying. I got my husband picking up cough drops today, so hopefully that goes well. Anyway, the first year I was, had lost they basically sent me into early retirement, with a lovely severance package, I might add. But anyway, they sent me into retirement, and that first month of December, I like literally took a break. I even kind of took a break from writing other than morning pages and maybe dabbling in a couple of manuscripts that I had sitting on the back burner. But I took the month off and I just kind of enjoyed the season. So I enjoyed prepping to put up our Christmas tree. I prepped the ornaments, because some of the big things that I like to do is I like to make cards. I like make my own Christmas cards for my family and friends. I love to get an actual tree. So we've done that. And I kind of like to do baking, like holiday baking. So my uncles and my cousins and nephews will usually get Christmas cookies from me or whatever. And those are things I like to do. And those are things also for me kind of allow me to slow down and enjoy the season, whatever the season is for you. So if the season, if you aren't a Christmas person, but you're more into the Yule, which actually I'm a little more Yule than I am Christmas. I mean, because obviously Christmas is pagany in my opinion, but I like those types of things. So I slow down and I enjoy those things. And I do put writing on the back burner, but the other thing I do is I kind of get to know myself. And I loved Sarah's last video that she had, and I'll link to that video specifically, because she was kind of like, after Nano, you might be burned out. You might be, like you've spent so much time working on this project, or stressed out because you couldn't work on the project for whatever reason, that you're a little burned out. So maybe you need to take the month of December for self-care and getting in touch with yourself. And I think that's a great idea. I think the idea of getting in touch with yourself and saying, this is what I want to work on. This is what's really important to me. This is what's driving me. As a matter of fact, this last month, I've been looking at this Regency romance that I had and looking at self-publishing it. And now I'm going back to maybe I don't want to do that. And there's a number of reasons why I don't want to do self-publishing. Part of it is insecurity in the business. That's part of it. The other part is that while I make decent money, I don't make great money as an author. I make my money elsewhere. So writing is more of like I don't want to say hobby. I'm hesitant to say hobby because I treat it like a job. It is my job. So, but it just doesn't make that much money for me in my scheme of whatever. So, but then that makes me evaluate, like, well, do I want to be in the publishing business? Like, do I want to do that? And I don't know that I do, for a number of reasons. So some people love it, but I've helped out with some projects lately that have just made me wonder, well, do I want to take this on for myself too? Because it's a lot easier to do. Like I've been doing formatting for people, And so it's easier for me to format for someone else than it is for myself, because you got to reread that manuscript so many times and I'm just like tune it out. And so sometimes I think like, well, the copy editing piece is maybe easier. I worry about whether I'll get the right cover art, whether I will release it at the right time. Because sometimes when you go with a book publisher, they're like, well, we release, they have a timing system of when they want to do releases. That's not to say if you're a newbie writer that you don't get in like the absolute worst release spot with a traditional publisher, because I'm sure that's the spot that's open. And so that's the one you get. But it seems to me that unless I can really move stuff either on Amazon or on like through Ingram and get it into bookstores and that sort of stuff, it's not gonna pan out for me. So I could just do it as an experiment, which I'm also thinking about, but I might give publishers one last try because I've got a couple that I'm looking at. So we'll see. Anyway, so that's neither here nor there, but that's like the types of things that you should be thinking about. Like if you wrote a project during Nano and you're editing it, great. If it's finished, you already edited because you're a really fast writer, kudos to you. But think about what do you want to do with that in the new year, and think about all the process involved with that, whether it is going ahead and like giving it to a traditional publisher, or whether it's like publishing it yourself, or whatever you plan to do with, or if you're going to put it on the shelf. Some people write just because they love to write and have no desire to get published. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I sometimes wonder, well, why did you write it then? You know, if nobody's ever going to look at it, why did you write it? So, but it's to each their own, right? I do have one thing I was going to share with you guys. Let me see if I can do this quickly. Share. I'm just going to share the screen. If I click that, will that work? Yes. Okay. So just so you guys know, this is, I had 2 releases come out back to back on December 1st. Snow by Any Other Name was a book that I had written to as part of the Moorhead Friends writing group anthology, Tales from the Frozen North. And I put it out as its own title. You can still get it in print in that book, or in ebook if you want multiple books to read. But I just released that all by itself because it's a short story for 99 cents on all platforms. So if you didn't want to buy all the other books, you could just buy this one. Tales from the Frozen North has been out for almost a year. I think it'll be a year in, I think it's March, might be March. So, I went ahead and released this one just so that people, my fans, could read just this. It's part of the Brave the Elements series. So if you've read Fireproof, it's part of that series. So Bizman Writers Guild, it put out a Seasons in the Dark. And I did the formatting for that. And I used Atticus, which was kind of a sharper learning curve. It probably wouldn't have been quite so sharp if I had went ahead and done all the tutorials that Atticus has on YouTube, but I'm sort of a leap into the fire type of person. So I went ahead and did that. But I have to say, I formatted Tales from the Frozen North in Google Docs and Word. And it was much more difficult than using Atticus. Atticus was that the things that caused me issues with Tales from the Frozen North, doing it manually, for lack of a better word, versus using a program like either Atticus or Vellum. If you have Mac, I have heard that I don't. That's why I used Atticus. If you have a Mac, I've heard that Vellum is the bomb, and you can basically upload it for free or download it for free. And then until you want the finished product, you can play around with it and see how you like it. So if you do have a Mac or are a Mac user, I would recommend that you download Vellum and use it and see if that's something that you like, because there's things like the table of contents, headers, footers, margins, justifying. There's a bunch of stuff that the formatting program makes much easier, that if you're going to do it in Word or in Google Docs is harder. So I would say that those are worth looking into. But anyway, these are the 2 releases. The story that I have in Seasons in the Dark is A Chill of the Reaper. It is also part of the Brave the Element world. which I started doing that with a lot of my short stories, is including them in one world or another. I am late on submitting the Nudie Street Colony for the next anthology that Moorhead Friends Writers Group is doing, which is cancel. Do that. Almost closed everything out. So, but anyway, in the first anthology, so that was part of my Brave the Elements world. But the next anthology that Moorhead Friends Writing Group is doing, I have a short story in there, hopefully, because the deadline was yesterday, but I'm hoping they've extended it. But it's part of a town. It's called Ephraim Falls, and it's part of this town where all the stories will be slightly connected. They either take place in the same town or share characters or both. And so I've written a story for that called The Nudie Street Colony. And that will probably be part of my Starving Artist. It will probably have characters similar to the Starving. It'll be in that world. So I find for these short stories, it's much easier to write in a world I already know and am familiar with than starting from scratch. So I will probably use that. Unlike Snow by Any Other Name and Chill of the Reaper, there aren't any paranormal elements in the Nudie Street Colony. So those are some things I'm working on, and I've got to get that short story done for the anthology this week. But the rest of this time, I'm just planning on taking for myself because, like I said, after the first year I lost my job, I found that just enjoying the season or enjoying this time with family and friends have become a lot more connected for me. When we had the Great Pause take place, my friend Amanda started a craft circle. She calls it craft salon. I call it craft circle, but basically every Saturday we meet and we do crafts online. So I'll finish up my Christmas cards on that. I'll do baking on one of those. I'll probably work on some little silly project that I want to work on, maybe even write on one of those, but those meet every Saturday. And I found that community just as enjoyable to be a part of this time of year as my own family. And I don't actually have my parents anymore since they've both passed, and both my girls live out of state. My oldest lives in the cities and my youngest lives out in Montana. So I like to spend time with whoever I can spend with, because otherwise it's just Ken and I. It's just the two of us in this house, which is also enjoyable. But my husband can only take so many Christmas movies before he loses his mind. So I got to spend time with other people. So I will usually spend time with people online as part of these writing communities and those sorts of things. So, but yeah, I'm only planning on writing 1,000 words a week. And if that's only in my morning pages, so be it. If that's all I get done, that's fine. But I'm going to take this time to just take it easy on myself and think about things I want to do in the new year. And I think that's a good place for a lot of people to be, because I think the holidays cause a lot of stress. There's the stress of gift giving. There's the stress of, card sending. There's all these time constraints. And if writing has to sit on the back burner, that's okay, because you're doing things that are, as long as those things are important to you. If they're not, go ahead and send a Christmas email versus sending out Christmas cards, if that makes it less stressful. Because this should all be about winding down. Like, you're really winding down for the year. That's the way I feel. I'm really winding down for the year. Even though my new year, like writing wise, I always seem to start off January fairly consistent writing all the way up until June, when we start working out at the airport. And then by the time September rolls around and I'm burned out from that, I kind of get this little up boost when I go on retreat and see all my writer friends. And then we go from that to Preptober to Nano. And so there's this like 3 months of intense like writing passion again for me. So, but Nano or November, once you hit that Thanksgiving break, or I do, I'm in like holiday mode. Because even when I did have a job, like from Christmas to New Year's, I took that time off. And I would take off more time in December. Our vacation went from like June to the following May. I would take off more time in December and November like right between Thanksgiving and Christmas than I did in May or summertime when people were taking vacation. One thing, because I hated driving into work. I loved snow days. Snow days were the bomb because then you could stay home. And then I think since we've had the pandemic, there's been less appreciation for snow days. It's not quite so exciting. So I don't know. Those are kind of the things that I'm thinking about this holiday season. I'm going to work on this short story. I'm going to write 1,000 words a week. I'm going to take it slow. I'm going to do the things I want to do around the holidays so it's not too intense. And just enjoy the season. I will link to Sarah's last vlog for November because I think it is. If you don't follow her, I would encourage you to like go back and watch those. Even if you just watch them like every day in December, it's fascinating to watch that journey and the things she did. Because I did take a couple of things that she did that I took away from her was she did a retreat, which like a self-writing retreat, which I've done those here at the house when I know my husband's going to be gone. I'm like, okay, I'm going to have a retreat and I'm going to get some writing done. She actually went to a hotel, and I've thought about that. I have a spring retreat that we normally do online, and I'm actually debating going to Fargo and doing it at a hotel versus doing it out here at the farm. Partially because I'm hoping I'll have better Wi-Fi, but then just to get away from the things that happen at the farm. So I'm debating that in my head of doing that so I can get some more writing time in when we're not on camera. Because to be perfectly honest, when I'm on camera and I've been in my house all day and then we take a break and we go for dinner or whatever and then come back on camera, I'm still in my house. So I'm like, maybe that would be something to do to break that up, like go somewhere when we have that online retreat that's not my house, even if it's just a hotel in Fargo. I'm actually looking at the Jasper. And if I don't do that, I'm half debating going all the way to Missoula and like getting a hotel where my daughter lives, just so that I can kind of either spend some time with her before that retreat and then be in a hotel at the retreat, but be someplace different than my house. So that was one of the things I took away from her November Nano blogs. The other thing was, if you see behind me, there's this, I finally set up my, okay, hold on here. I got to think. I finally set up my old monitor for our PC because I've used a Chromebook the last few years. I finally set that up and I hooked my Chromebook up to it because I had to buy an HDMI cable when I went to ValleyCon so that I had it for like their overhead projectors. And so she had done that where she had hooked her giant monitor up in like her writing room. And I'm like, oh my God, I should do that because I do have a hard time. Part of it is because I'm older, but the other thing is like looking at this laptop is harder to visually see. And I would have loved to have used it for editing or formatting the first time around so you could see the book on like this big monitor when you go to like do the preview on it. So I have been working mostly downstairs because our dog Kaiser is getting older and I don't think he's going to be with us much longer. So I usually work down there just so he's not lonely. So like I'm doing the cast up here just because I don't need doggy background noise, which could be a thing. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that in my office. But those are kind of my takeaways, is just take it easy this month. Do some self-care. Just enjoy whatever holidays happen for you. If nothing else, enjoy the new year. And the month of January, unless anybody has any questions, I'll just pop into the comments and see. Yep, it doesn't look like anybody does. The only other thing is that I would say next month, First Friday Lunch will be on January 6th and at 11:30. And so I hope to see you then. I'm going to talk about goals and setting goals and realistic goals, stuff like that. That's what I'm going to talk about, and some things that I've got planned for the new year, because I'm thinking about switching up the channel a little bit. So First Friday Lunch doesn't seem to be as popular as it once was. So I'm thinking about changing that to, I'll probably still do it, but I'm also thinking of adding different content, like either writer interviews or maybe classes to kind of help boost the channel, so to speak. So anyway, so next First Friday lunch is going to be January 6th at 11:30 a.m. So go ahead and pencil me in for lunch.